Hey everyone, National Master Sean Lei here, and what we're going to be looking at for the next few weeks is a challenge I put myself when I climbed from 1612 rating all the way to 2000 in Rapid, using only the openings that you guys know I truly love, the Kali Zucrator, as well as the Philidor / Black Line Defense. So let's get straight into it. And hopefully you guys get to learn some strategies and tactics that I employ in order to get to the top. Alright, so as you guys can see, my rating's only 1612, don't ask why, but we're gonna get it to 2000 extremely quickly, and let's get straight into it. So, if we get white, we're going to be playing the Kali, but as you can see over here, if we're black, we're going to be playing the Black Lion, my favorite opening of all time. An opening where we let our opponent come to us, and then we will break them, as they try to gain a lot of space and use their space advantage to beat me. So in this position, it's a little bit unique, it's a little bit strange. They move the bishop out before the knights, but what I like to do in these positions, I like to play pawn c6 early on, with the idea of, well, if they take me, I take back. This is good for me, but in these positions, I have the idea in which I can play pawn to d5 in these positions, or I can play pawn to b5, gaining a lot of space. Now in this position in particular, I think pawn d5 just makes a lot of sense. We get a lot of space over here in the center, and we are even able to trade off the bad bishop that we have, because most of our pawns are going to be on light squares, for our opponent's good bishop over there. So in this position, it's very easy. We're just going to develop our pieces. If he wants to attack us, he can attack us over here. Do I want to play queen b here to attack that pawn? Looks interesting. He'll be forced to play b3, get some dark square weaknesses. But knight c3, he gets some tempos against us, but I don't think that really matters because the c-file is going to be a little weak. So I like this move over here, just queen here, attacking a weakness, maybe provoking, our opponent to play a bad move. Yeah, b3 is pretty bad, I feel, in these positions where I have, well, the dark square bishop and he doesn't. So let's just gain some tempos here. If he plays d4, I'm very happy about that because it makes his pawn structure extremely weak. He plays pawn c4 in between move. And now this is interesting because in this position I can maybe take here, and if he takes there I can take there. It's probably not good for me, but it would be pretty fun in these positions to do something like that. But I think in this position, I think I just play the simple chess where I just move my queen somewhere safe, and then we'll see what happens from there. So in this position, if I play queen here, I think he's planning to play pawn d4, but if I capture, pawn captures, the pawn structure doesn't look that great for him, to be honest, so I'm going to try queen b6. Also stops his pawn from moving to f4, which can be a little bit annoying for him. If he takes me, that's completely fine. We just have a very weak pawn for us to attack on d3. I mean, I'm not too worried here. We even have moves like queen c7 in the future. Just snipe h2. Just go boom. And let's see what our opponent does. If he plays d4, I have an idea in which I take, pawn captures, and then we take, and then queen captures. That doesn't seem that great for our opponent here. Now, this move just seems like a complete blunder. I think I just win instantly. So I want you guys to take a look. And in these positions, how I'm able to spot tactics extremely quickly is I always look for hanging pieces. So I count this knight as a hanging piece because there's only one attacker, one defender. So it's basically hanging. If you attack it one more time, it's going to fall apart. The rook is also hanging here in this position as well. So if I just play something like queen here, it just looks like I can win either the knight or the rook in this position. So that's just a free piece, which, don't mind if I do. Now, the question is, if he does an in-between move, do we just do something? Do we take first, or do we take the knight, or do we take the rook? When it comes to these in-between moves, it makes the game a little bit complicated, but my opponent decides to just sacrifice here, so in this position, just make it simple, just take back. Nothing to worry about. He has to play knight d2 if he wants to keep his rook alive. Not saying he does want to keep his rook alive, but okay, he plays that. I think I'm just going to move my rook to e8. I'm up a piece in this position. I can also try to play queen f3, queen f4. But queen f4 is one of those cheapo moves, like your opponent will see it obviously, and then you kind of don't have anything there. So e6 is my biggest weak point. I could push, but I think the safer move is just to play rook e8. Just make sure no harm can ever come to my king. My king's going to hide over here in the future. Yeah, and we just need to be careful of knight here, stuff like that. Now, that's an interesting move, h3. I'm not sure this move is very good for our opponent. Yeah, I'm not sure what this move actually accomplishes. It creates even more dark square weaknesses. I guess he's stopping my knight from coming here, but Why did my knight want to go there is the question. So let's just play king g8. When you're winning, the most important thing that I always recommend lower rated players do is make sure they don't lose. Now, that sounds easier said than done, but I see too often people, they just lose chess games that they probably shouldn't have lost for no reason. So if you guys try to avoid that, you guys should be fine. Now, I just need to make sure my queen doesn't get trapped here. I can never get trapped, so let's just play queen here. If our opponent moves the knight, obviously this mate on h2, but I expect my opponent to play g3, which creates even more weaknesses in the position for me to attack. I can play moves like queen f5, attack d3, attack h3. It's pretty bad for my opponent here. Oh, he creates the weaknesses. I'm just going to play here, make sure there's no silly tactics. Yeah, we just play queen here, attack that, attack that. Yeah, lots of weaknesses in my opponent's position here. I don't like this very much from my opponent. Now I think e5 just makes a lot of sense. If he takes on d5, I just take back. Life is good. If he plays this in between move, this in between move doesn't really do anything. So I could just play something like queen g5. If he wants to go back, then I can go back over here. And we can just slowly improve our position, slowly but surely. We can also push our queen here, where if he takes on d5, we take back. Both moves look pretty good, to be honest. I'm not sure which one is better. We could also just trade queens and be boring. Often boring chess is best chess, but let's just move the queen here. If he takes, we take back. Comes with a check. Looks pretty good. We're threatening pawn push, which is pretty good as well. We're just up a piece. Up a piece, just make sure life is chill. Calm down. Don't let anything happen, and we will be good. It's our opponent's move. He plays pawn g5. Like, this move cannot be good for our opponent's health. I guess he's trying to put his knight here, but by doing that, he's creating lots of weaknesses in the position. The dark squares look particularly bad. So we will just attack the opponent's king. We will charge. Oh, the opponent says he doesn't want anything to do with it. That's interesting. Okay, we can try to attack the c4 pawn a little bit. Let's play rook c8, get our last piece into the game. If he pushes, we just move our bishop all the way back to b8, protect this pawn, keep the bishop on a cool diagonal. We have a strong pawn on e5. He can never really play pawn f4. And yes, he might get a knight here, but we can always just kick it very easily with a move like pawn g6. Pawn g6, knight there. Just make sure nothing bad happens. No forks, no skewers, no nothing. Okay, we just play g6. Go away. Knights, nobody likes you. Always just get rid of your opponent's knights when they're in your position, so nothing problematic happens. Okay, he checks us, we just go here, attack his piece. He comes there, that's fine, we're just going to move over here. Now his dark squares are even weaker than before. Makes it super easy for me to win the game here. I think my opponent might be forced to play something like queen here, trying to trade off the pieces. That looks pretty forced here. I don't know what else he can do in this position that doesn't just automatically lose, though. It looks terrible from our opponent here. It looks so bad. Yeah, all these weaknesses. One thing that I like to do is I like to provoke weaknesses. So the more our opponent moves his pawns, the more squares behind it gives us access to. Now, opponent plays knight g4. Take a second, guys. Hardest question you guys might see in a chess game. You have an opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win against somebody. Well, he's only 1650, but again, it's a pretty easy win. You just come here with a little check. It's a fork. You win the opponent's queen, and our opponent resigns. Pretty simple game, to be honest. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed that game. Let's do some quick game review. All right, let's take a look at the game review. So, in this position, not sure you guys can see it, but it says that I played like a 2400 rated player. I played with a 95.8% accuracy. Very happy about that. So let's go see if we made any mistakes. So this is all book opening, like this is all normal stuff. In this position, our opponent didn't play our normal black lion, but we still employed the same ideas where we just tried to gain the center extremely quickly. And when we gain the center extremely quickly, well, our opponent will have less space. We've equalized, and then we can begin trying to do what we want to do. The evaluation here says that black is already slightly better. It's negative 0.41. It's pretty good. All right, knight to f3 says that's a pretty good move. We play pawn d5. It likes it. Take, take. The opponent checks. Bishop d7 makes a lot of sense. A lot of people wouldn't want to trade the bishop pair, but here it just makes so much sense because this bishop's going to be bad. I don't care about this bishop. If I trade it off, that's good for me. So we just trade it off. Pawn e6. The opponent plays knight there. Yeah, not really a move I really like. It says it's okay, but like, what does this move do? It just lets me play queen b5 for free. Attacks the b3 pawn. It allows our opponent to make dark square weaknesses. And you guys saw what happened in the game. These dark square weaknesses were the reason why we were able to win the game, because after we played queen b6, he played queen e2, which is a blunder. It allows just the very easy queen d4 move, forking both the knight and rook, which I was able to figure out because of the weak dark squares, as well as all the hanging pieces in the position. So the rest of this game doesn't really matter. We're just trying to trade off all the pieces. As you guys can see, like, we played a lot of best moves. We just slowly improved our